Hi, it's Joy, and today I'm going to be watching Superman and Lois, Season 3, Episode 6 of Sound Mind. I love this show, so I'm very excited to keep watching. A reminder that you can find all of these reactions unedited on my Patreon if you watch this on YouTube. And let's go!
He was only doing it. Hanging on. For me.
Yeah.
Let me take you out before you can't get anything down. You can ask me all about Hobbs Bay.
Marty can say now this woman's a plant by Mannheim.
Done already?
It's good to see you again.
I hear you're doing group. That's great. It really helped my husband.
These are files?
Yeah.
I feel like at the stage Clark is at right now, I don't know how helpful that group would have been, because in a way it was all people in a more extreme situation than him. Now in some ways I guess it probably helped him in the sense that like preparing him for how hard it can be and how hard it's gonna get, and that the feelings he's having are valid, and that, like, I don't think that going there is a bad idea. But they're at the beginning of this whole process, and you know, hearing about the end of someone else's is kind of more of, you don't want to think about that right now.
You okay?
Yeah, fine. Just
He's not.
wasn't for me.
Yeah. I think he doesn't need it now, but there will come a time when he just might. And it's, again, it isn't for everyone.
My sister can do something fun today.
What? No, Mom, I have to study for my geometry midterm.
You
Why
can't
can't I
make
take it?
Sarah
It's
parent.
not his day, but
Maybe later.
Sophie, it's okay. Plenty of kids spend days on their own playing games on their computer and they're just
Chrissy.
fine.
Miss May. Wow, I've turned into that divorced person people cross the street to avoid. No.
No, I'm just dating him, and so it's awkward because I
all
haven't
good.
told you and I'm your friend.
So
Bruno, you're killing him.
What do you want from me? I'm not a doctor.
His body is tearing itself apart.
Then you should take him to a hospital.
I mean, his, by the very nature of him saying only Bruno Mannheim can save me tells you that Bruno Mannheim is involved.
I'm gonna be a sophomore the rest of my life.
I'm hitting it hard tomorrow, if you wanted to join me.
Hey, Mijita, let's not distract Rusty Buckets here while he...
I mean, okay, I guess maybe... I don't know what qualifications, like, school-wise you need to be a firefighter. I know you have to, like, pass tests within the firefighter training. But I feel like, again, I don't... Him volunteering here, I do like the idea of. I think it's going to be really good for him, and I think it's going to help him gain skills and confidence and all sorts of things, and maybe even find a future career path. I'm not against Jonathan coming here and working here. I am against him using his only spare time doing it when he works a job all week and has school. Like, what is the logic here? Like, Sarah is spending all weekend studying for a test. He doesn't get to do that because he's volunteering here?
He's in training mode. I'm at work, sweetie. What'd you expect?
I don't know. Something fun? When's the fair coming?
Not till summer. Hey, look,
I mean, I feel like maybe we should put Sophie into some counselling because she's not coping with this very well. But, like, I mean, at her age, yes, obviously you want to spend time with your parents, and I think what this is her struggling with the fact that her parents aren't together and they both have busy jobs. Now, they've always both worked. I think it is literally, it's a symptom of the divorce and her struggling with that because she wants things to be how they were. But, like, obviously every kid is different. But I mean, I guess I was an only child, but, like, I would spend hours in my room with my toys. Can't gauge how old she is, whether that would still be a thing. Playing games on the computer, she seems to have that kind of thing. You know, like, I can amuse myself for hours and then also spend time with my parents. Like, I definitely think this clinginess to them is a symptom, and they need to get her to a counsellor to help that counsellor help her process it and help them know how to help her.
I saved like this hiker and maybe a yoga instructor. It was nuts.
Jordan, how many times do I have to say it? No saves without me.
Wait.
No, we still don't know your limits. What if you would have gotten hurt?
I
or
mean,
worse?
it is so hard, isn't it? Because he literally just said he saved at least 2 lives, so that is a good thing. And I do think he deserves praise for that. But at the same time, Clark isn't wrong. We don't know his limits, and if he'd got himself in trouble, no one would have known where he was.
I told him he could go.
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry.
Then that
It's
is
just a
different.
flood. I thought he'd be okay. And there wasn't time to check with you.
Incredible potential to reanimate cells.
So,
Potential isn't good enough.
is he trying to figure out how to bring people back from their dead, or is this all part of some bizarre his research of saving lives?
Serum.
And you'll have.
Like, if this is serious, tell Lana.
This is so soon after the divorce.
Kyle, I don't want to be some side piece.
No, you are not.
Like, I'm sorry, we're either it's too close to the divorce, aka Chrissy, you're a rebound, or we tell Lana. She's going to find out some other
I
way.
just don't want anyone to get hurt.
They're going to if we don't tell anyone. No one's saying you have to tell the children, but Lana deserves to know, especially given that she has such a close working relationship with Chrissy as well. It'll be so much more awkward if it comes out some other way than if you just tell her.
Put him through enough already.
No one's saying the children need to know about it yet.
Healthcare, power of attorney,
I mean,
last will and testament, end of life decisions. Will.
Cancer, a disease that killed a man in front of you this morning?
Yeah, I know, but that was different.
How?
He was one of Mannheim's test subjects.
Clark he's not even allowing himself to consider what's going to happen at the end. That's why their session wasn't right for him, was because he was dealing with all these people who were dealing with the end of everything. He's viewing this as such, oh, she's going to have a few little treatments and it will all be fine. And please let that be the case. But and I think it's quite natural to not consider terrible ending that's most likely going to happen eventually. But it's just very heartbreaking. And having a will and testament isn't the worst idea. I mean, when you have children, for one thing, you probably should just have some kind of will and testament so that just if something happens to you, they're taken care of and you know how they're taken care of. And when you have assets, like a house, you probably should have something sorted out there so that it's just easy. If anything, we're doing it so that should the worst happen, it's easier on everybody else.
I mean, who?
At least consider.
Nope, I don't have to.
Clark.
Come on.
Look, babe, if you want to have these papers in order and that makes you feel better, fine. But I'm telling you, it's not necessary.
She could get hit by a bus tomorrow, sweetheart. How many times have you almost died in the last couple of years? But he is just denial. He can't let himself imagine being in that place that those people at that meeting were in.
You'll get your chance. You just have to be patient.
I've been patient. You can't hold me back just because you're afraid.
Sweetie, how long have you been patient for? 5 minutes?
Didn't mean that.
Oh, she's linked to Bruno Mannheim somehow.
In one
As a
form or
plant.
My husband's still getting his head around it.
How do you handle it?
I remember he's doing his best and try to be patient. And other times, I yell.
What's your husband's
A
name?
lot.
I'm so suspicious for everybody. Hopefully it is just part of the reality of living with.
Sophie, we gotta study. If you're hungry, then go get something to eat.
Sophie. This is on Kyle that he's not prepared more for his kids when he's out.
This tortellini was
If they hadn't, I wouldn't be here.
I know.
So it's hard for me just to imagine them doing something that could hurt people.
You're right, and I'm sorry.
No, it's don't be.
It
Always
doesn't
surprises
mean
me how
they
it all comes
can't.
flooding back.
Thank you.
Surely everyone's heard of the Bruno Mannheim arms dealing and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, maybe I.
Alright, little baby boy, you can do this. I feel like he went out and dealt with a flood, and he just seemed like floods, forest fires, building collapses, you know, the sort of other types of stress and danger he's gonna have.
I could do this all day. All right, that wasn't fair.
Fair's got nothing to do with it. One mistake to lose everything.
Clark, this isn't about Jordan.
Stupid.
Teach you something.
Yeah, it's not about me. I just don't think you can handle someone else being super too.
That's not it, Jordan.
We're gonna find her. Everything is gonna be fine. I'm gonna go to Britain.
How
Donna. She
old is
probably got into the
Sophie?
comics and lost track of time, so just text me. Okay.
Because it shouldn't be on. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's not unreasonable to get your kids to occasionally babysit their sibling, etc. But it shouldn't be on Sarah. Kyle is the one who should have brought her with him. Kyle is the one who should have checked his girls had eaten before he went on his errand or whatever.
Just went on a quick hike.
A hike?
Lana, I had plans. Okay, I'm allowed to do things. Right?
When you
Besides,
have your
yesterday I took
kids.
Sophie to work.
Sorry to inconvenience you with your own daughter.
Lana, just please listen.
You should have been there with her.
You should have at
Since
least
when
made
did
sure
you
she'd
even hike?
eaten.
In 20 years, you never once.
Stop looking that way if you don't want her to see who's there.
Really?
There's nothing wrong, but they should have mentioned it.
Lana, I can explain.
No
So I'm cross that you went on a date instead of caring for your children. This is one of the parenting times. Your children were at your house. You knew that. You didn't even say goodbye to Sophie when you left. That was shit parenting, Kyle. You're a shit dad.
explanation necessary.
That's why you tell her.
I'm always going to believe that you're going to beat this. I'm not going to fixate on the alternative being a possibility.
It already
Yeah, but you have to
is.
consider it. That's all she's asking.
And you acting like cancer is my villain, Clark. And you keep acting like it doesn't exist.
Hey, we talked about this.
I think I know where she is. Come on.
They need to send Sophie to therapy because she is acting out. Bless her. And it's Kyle's fault. It's not Sarah's fault.
Oh my
Like,
God,
yes,
there she
Sarah
is.
should have been less.
Soph!
My parents, my brother, they're kind of a big deal, so.
Jordan's not a big deal. I mean, Sarah dumped him.
That's true. You're not wrong. Sarah. It was like everyone from my old
Bless
life
you,
was just
baby.
gone. And I felt really alone.
It's your family. Mine doesn't care about me.
Oh, they do.
I kind of doubt that. You should have seen how fast your sister made me drive. I should probably lose my license. Gosh, you keep getting bigger.
Thank you.
Bless you. Kyle, do better. You had your children and you left your 10-year-old without making sure she'd eaten, without checking on her. See how good you are and how much you can help people by being you.
I have Superman to learn from. There's no better teacher than that.
Bless.
What is it?
It's a trap. Laser eye her. I think it's a her. They got really lucky that Lois wasn't with him. Because they don't know that she's his wife. Jesus.
Mom, you're okay.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be?
Go after your
We were
dad, I
just
think.
screaming. We thought the worst.
Calm down and tell me what happened.
Should have done that sooner, Clark. Do they want more of his blood? Are they trying to kill him? I think this is going to remind him that they can die any day.
Dad said I wasn't ready.
Then prove him wrong. You can do this, Jordan, and go save your father.
Your mum's giving you permission. It's a very extreme... I'm not comfy with it, but it's the only option I can see. But also call the DOD too. Both the DOD can also be going. This is a very real situation, sweetie pie. Oh god. This is your first real test, sweetheart. Straight in the weird mouth. Laser eyes, straight in the weird mouth. Come on. Don't say his name. It's gonna be okay.
Jordan, come on.
I see. He's gonna face up to the reality of death coming and he's gonna realize he maybe wasn't quite ready. Yep.
No more Rusty. I'm moving up in the world.
More tests of the fortress, but it seems like kryptonite doesn't affect him the same way.
What did I miss?
A lot, sweet boy.
Saving my life.
Well, Sarah thought it was cool, so.
You hung out with Sarah? Yo.
He's still a teenage boy.
I realize I've been so obsessed with keeping him safe because for the first time I can't keep you safe.
Yeah. It's hard for everyone to face up to.
I feel really powerless.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give everything I have to stay with you and the boys.
And I'm always going to believe that you're going to make it. But I
Yeah.
promise you I will be better at being here for you in whatever way you need me to.
I like this because it is hard for both people in both positions to deal with what's going on and cope with it. And acknowledge it.
Maybe Dad wants to play too.
No,
You know what?
sweetie.
Maybe another time.
Okay.
I do think maybe getting Sophie to talk to someone because she's really struggling with a divorce would help.
Lana doesn't hate
Look,
you.
I'm pretty sure you're about to break up with me, so why don't we just get it over with?
Oh, whoa, no. That is not even close to
I mean,
what's happening.
I think I might break up with him if I realise he just ditched his kids. I mean, yes, obviously I think they're of an age where like they can be left alone together. Obviously, definitely Sarah is, and Sophie's 10. I don't know how old Sophie is, but he didn't even make sure she's had anything to eat that day. And it's wrong. You do not put, even though Sarah is a teenager, it's wrong to put the care of her sister on her shoulders so you can go off on a date. Like, if there is a life and death situation, or if you really have to work and there is no other alternative, then sure, it isn't unreasonable to ask Sarah to babysit Sophie. But kind of this expectation that, oh, Sarah will deal with it when you're just going on a date is so wrong. I would break up with him for being a negligent father.
You know, I promise that she is not mad at you.
At
I don't want her
him.
to be mad at you either.
Yeah, but he ditched his kids
She's not. But,
without even making sure Sophie had breakfast.
make this a little more, I don't know.
So you're going to tell your daughters? I don't think Sophie's ready for that.
Okay.
Maybe tell your daughters before you go properly public.
Yeah.
Can't do this anymore.
It's his
That
wife.
affected the way I dealt with my family.
She's blah 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 person.
People more important to me
The
than
woman. The friend.
anything else in the
Shocking. Not. How about you murdered people, Liv? So you can live.
What I do know is
I get the impulse. I'm not like,
the best version of me.
no wonder she's not bothered by all the people he's
So I
hurt
can be there for my wife.
along the way.
And my
She's
boys.
willing to do it herself.
In
I really hoped Lois was going to see a picture of like Bruno Mannheim with his arm around his wife or something, and she didn't, which is annoying. Okay, so I guess that she was going to be Mannheim's wife. I think it was more when she kept referring to her husband, her husband, her husband, whereas Lois would be like, oh, my husband, Clark, Clark. You know, like you say your husband, you say his name, and then you just refer to him by his name. You don't always refer to your spouse as spouse title. So I kind of guess that she would like most likely be his wife. Did not guess she was going to be face lady, which means she's also a murderer. So lucky Lois with her friends. I was hopeful that she was just going to be a support system, a friend, someone else that like Lois could help and could help Lois, because I do think something they're doing a really good job at, whether I'm still on the fence whether I agree with it or not, is the fact that Lois, we're really seeing the reality of what it is like to have cancer, to be the spouse of someone with cancer in a very realistic way amongst all of the superhero shenanigans. So I was slightly hoping that it was just going to be a friend for Lois, but obviously not. Yeah, I still have my, you know, this is escapism show, and it's not the same, but like right now, this weekend, just gone when I filmed this, I'm filming this on Thursday, on the Saturday just gone, my aunt was rushed to hospital. She's, touch wood, doing okay. She's out of danger, but it's not guaranteed. I don't really want to turn into my Superman show and think about people dying in hospitals. No, it's not what I want right now. There's like, if I was watching Chicago Med, I would expect that kind of thing. Even One Tree Hill, where it's just about people's lives. But this show is about Superman. But at the same time, they are doing a really good job of showing the realities of it. So again, I'm all up in the air with what I actually feel about that. I'm glad we kind of had the end with Clark realizing he has to be there for Lois, and that means acknowledging the part that he's scared to acknowledge, and her saying, well, you know, I've got no intention of giving in. And it's just allowing yourself to think that your loved one could actually die is unthinkable. But when they are facing that prospect, they need you to be there with them. You know, if Lois was refusing to acknowledge that prospect, then I feel like kind of do it with her. But if she wants to face it, if she wants to have things in order just in case, if that helps her feel more settled and more in control of the situation, you need to let her do that. Plus, I do also think just having your wills in order when you have a family, property, face life and death situations every day isn't the worst thing. I am still on the fence about allowing Jordan to superhero. I do think in situations like this one, like Clark was going to die, so yes, we did need to send him, but then potentially he could have died, and then that would have been even worse. But I do feel like I didn't disagree with sending him in this instance. Potentially not even to the flood, though. I'm a bit more like, because he saved lives, and that is very, very good. But you're also like, we need to just test him more. Like, more, don't just train him fighting against bad guys. Train him dealing with flood scenarios. Train him dealing with forest fires. Train him like that. But I think he is reaching the point where he will be able to do it by himself, but I don't think he's quite there yet. I liked Jonathan shone in this episode. I liked the way, you saw him just knuckling down, doing the hard work at his voluntary position. I think he's going to learn a lot from it, and I think it really helped him helping Sophie. He was able to, just by the virtue of being him, get through to her in that moment and help her maybe understand that her family did love her even if things were difficult, and that no family is perfect. Because probably she looked at the perfect Kent family and thought, why my family wasn't perfect, whereas now she can kind of see everyone has their problems, but my family does love me. So I did like that moment. Again, I don't. Sophie's very young. I don't know how old she is, but I feel like my biggest issue with this episode is that Kyle just ditched his kids to go on a hike, like his parental day. Now with Sarah is more than old enough to be left alone. Sophie isn't. And if you're going to ask your teenager to babysit their sibling, unless it's an emergency, you should do that in advance. You should say, oh, Sarah, on Saturday when you're at my house, do you mind babysitting Sophie? Like, it shouldn't be a given that she'll do it. It shouldn't be, like... And then, also, he didn't make sure the fridge was stocked with things for his children to eat when they stayed with him. And he didn't even make sure his 10, 11, 12-year-old had eaten before he left the house. Terrible parenting. He didn't even say goodbye to the girl. When he knows she's feeling clingy at the moment, he knows the fact that he's like, oh, I'm so busy. Lana, he said she didn't notice that she'd be feeling left out. But like the fact that she spent all day sitting next to him in the firehouse, bored out of her mind, and then was like, oh, I hope we do something fun. Obviously, she wanted to see you and wanted to spend time with you. I'm not saying he can't see his girlfriend. I may be saying that when he doesn't have his kids would be the better time to do it. But I just thought that was really shit parenting. And I don't blame Lana for being really angry with him, because she has not been there. Like, she had to say, oh, sorry, Sophie, not today, when her job had a huge issue going on, when her job was time consuming. And that is a job that she started when they were still married and still together, and he supports it, so he can't even try and claim that. Plus, he can have a time consuming career, she can have one too. She hasn't always been there for Sophie, but at least it's been because she's trying to run a town and not because she wanted to go on a hiking date with a boyfriend. And his reasonings for not wanting to tell Lana were very stupid, because she was going to find out. I wouldn't blame him for not wanting to tell the girls just yet, Sophie in particular, because that can be confusing for kids. But not wanting to tell Lana, it was like he just wanted to hide from the difficult conversation. I guess it's good they're going public. I really don't care though. And I'm glad they found Sophie. And I quite enjoyed Sarah and Jonathan's friendship in this episode. I think that's been something I've enjoyed the whole way through, the moments they've had where they have just been friends and hung out. And I like that. Even if Jordan is all like, well, you hung out with Sarah and I love her and I didn't. Jordan did very well. Did very well this episode, saving lives, saving his dad. I am proud of him. Though I think I was really hoping that the reality of that situation, of seeing his dad in that dire strait, of being injured himself, because yeah, it didn't seriously hurt him, but it knocked him out for a while, would have been enough for him to be at least, like, there was that moment where the guy was pointing a gun at him. I was hoping Jordan would have been a little bit like, oh no, that was a bit scary. Still, like, I see that I did it, even though it was dangerous and scary, I did it. I was hoping he'd be a little bit like, but I do still want my training. But no, he was just like, woo, I did it. And Mannheim, again, yes, I do think the hospital is wonderful and I can see that it is saving lives. I do think the concept of building up and supporting people in an underdeprived, overlooked, ignored area is important. Being an arms dealer to fund it, murdering people to do it, isn't the answer. And I think a lot of those people in that town, who, if they knew the truth of what he'd been doing, wouldn't be happy about it, or the suburb or whatever. So yeah, intrigued with where it's all going to go. I am intrigued about what Mannheim... I mean, I'm guessing now his goal is to find a way to reverse death or prevent death, stop all diseases, stop all cancers, something like that. His goal is a good one. But when the body count starts rising and you just start murdering people left, right, and centre, it kind of loses any of its goodness and worthwhileness. Still a very good episode. I think reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction and all of my reactions to this show on my Patreon. And thank you so much for watching.